Welcome to Zero Limits Mindset, the podcast where we redefine the boundaries of success. Whether you're an athlete pushing for greatness or a business leader striving for your next breakthrough, we're here to help you unlock your full potential. Hosted by Jonathan Williams and Clay Dean. We dive deep into the mindset strategies of discipline and relentless effort that creates champions, on and off the field. Join us as we explore the power of attitude, effort, and a winning mentality. Together, we'll learn from the greats, tackle challenges with confidence, and embrace foundations of success. This is your journey. This is Zero Limits Mindset. Let's get started.
All right, Jonathan, today we're going to talk about zero limits mindset, the foundation of success. And we've got a workbook that we've created and put together with material and chapters that outlines, what it takes to have a zero limit mindset, how we apply that to our business, our daily lives,
Mm.
not only as business owners and leaders, but also as parents and spouses. So, one of the first chapters in our workbook is the parallels between business and sports and how it's applicable. Let's talk a little bit about that and how they compare and how we utilize those in our business.
Yeah, you see a lot of crossover between sports and business. Sports, I feel like you have a little more of that high pressure anxiety type situation. Could be stepping up to the in the batter's box. It could be downset hut. Now the pressure's on. That's like in the moment. In business, you have that with negotiations. You might have that with conflict with employees or trying to ask for a raise. You have a lot of similarities that overlap. And then they've also got, I feel like business is a little more focused on the resilience aspect. You have to consistently push through and stick to, your business plan. When things come at you, you got to roll. Same thing happens in sports. You got to stick to your processes, your working out, your diet. There's a lot that goes into it. So I feel like you can easily cross over between business and sports.
Well, even as far as, in our business, from a leadership standpoint, one of the things that we focus on in running our business is we have goals, we set expectations, but from a leadership standpoint, we have multiple businesses, right?
Hmm.
And so we have leaders underneath us that, take care of certain aspects of our business. And the way we look at it is it's kind of like a sports team, like you're managing a sports team.
Yep.
We're always looking for the next best talent, wear multiple hats, be very diverse, be able to think on their feet, problem
Hmm.
solve. And if they can't, we're looking for the next person to replace them. We have high expectations and high standards. We set those, and that's kind of a little bit of a correlation right there.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about confidence. You want to take that one?
Yeah, so confidence is a big deal, especially as an athlete and a competitor, but even as a business manager, business leader going into negotiations. Confidence is a belief in yourself and your skill set. We
Hmm.
talk a lot about how to create confidence and maintain confidence from a consistent standpoint. One of the biggest things as far as confidence goes is, are you prepared? Preparation is a big deal in creating confidence. Kobe Bryant, I think, is pretty big about this. We'll reference him a lot. We talk a lot about his Mamba mentality and what he had as a
Hmm.
basketball player. And I love what he said. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. You got
Yeah.
to have confidence in yourself and your skills. And, it's a very, very important aspect as far as pitching a business idea, competing, leading. If you show confidence, then the people below you are going to have confidence.
Yeah. I think it's natural to, when you don't have confidence, people can, I would say, maybe smell it. They smell maybe the fear, but they also can see it. They can hear it. Like it comes across what you say, how you say it, and your body language.
Yep.
Not even what you're talking about, but the way your posture is and all that stuff. I know sometimes when I talk, for instance, I can be very confident about certain things, and then when I get to something I'm not sure about, my volume goes down
Hmm.
or my intonation goes down, and it's like, oh, what? That's something to press on because I don't think he knows what he's talking about there.
Well, and body language. The women's basketball coach for UConn, he talks a lot about body language and how it's so important to his athletes and his players. And you can see that in body language. Are you pouting?
Hmm.
Are you
Are you
confident?
hunched
Are
in
you
your
hunched
shoulders?
over?
Yeah.
And one of the things that we work on and talk about and preach is, how to maintain confidence, how to create confidence, celebrating small wins, not just real
Hmm.
big wins, not just the big end goal. Because if you're only focused on the end goal, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure, which is
Hmm.
something we'll talk about later, is how to deal with failure. How to create confidence and maintain it is really big. Focusing on the fundamentals and mastering your craft as an athlete or even as a business person. You got a pitch to go, um, pitch to a potential client or an investor or whatever aspect that may be. Um, Focus on controlling what you can control and get your fundamentals and your basics down.
And a big aspect of that is the next thing, self-talk. If you're talking to yourself and you're saying, I'm not sure this is going to work, or I don't know how to do this, or this will never work. That's not what you want to be saying in your head.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 4-year-old right now that he's learning how to deal with failure. He's very competitive. He always wants to win. And when he doesn't win, he goes, I dumb, I dumb. He goes, you're so dumb. And he says his name. And I'm like, oh, wait, back up, buddy. Like, come here. Let's say the right thing. We're not going to say I can't. We're not going to say I'm dumb. We're not going to say I'm stupid or anything like that, because that's all negative self-talk. And I think keeping your talking to you, who do you hear the most?
Yourself.
Yourself. So you've got to say the right things that build up and reassure yourself. Some of that comes with confidence of knowing what you're going to say, knowing what you're planning and what you're researching, what you're going to pitch, knowing the foundation, the techniques, and all that stuff. But outside of just the knowledge, you can have the knowledge and be pessimistic and everything, nothing works out for you. So you've got to say the right things to yourself.
And there's some examples beyond that. Like basketball, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, those guys when they miss a shot, what are they saying to themselves? Are they scared
Mhm.
to shoot again? No, they've figured out a way to pump themselves back up and keep that confidence going and being resilient and
Mhm.
continuing to go after it. And then in business, you fail. Everybody fails in business. Jeff Bezos with Amazon talks about this. You turn your failures into experiences,
Yeah.
and that's part of the self-talk. Well, I didn't really fail. That's an experience. I'm going
Yep.
to learn from it. I'm going to improve from it, and we're going to be better.
Yeah. No, I think that's huge. I think that's one thing I always look at is, have a business that just started and things started out good, and then we kind of got this is dealing with livestock, and we got a bunch of livestock that have a lot of diseases and uh, health issues, and they've been stressed, and so we're giving them shots and deworm, and we're going through all this stuff, and my business partner is like, man, this is so depressing. And I was like, not to me. I mean, this is like the worst it's gonna get. I mean, I for years had stock that didn't have any issues, and when I had one little thing, it was like, oh God, what do I do? Now I've got everything on the list, and we're like, all right, here's antibiotics, here's this, here's a B shot, all this stuff, and it's like, okay, well, if we learn this, we can handle anything now.
Well, and you're in year one. So when you come around this time for year two and your preparation and your experiences, you've learned from that, you know how to be ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Now you know how to play chess because you have experiences.
Yep. Exactly.
The next chapter that we talk about in our workbook is self meditation and why that's important. Um, Really, it's about cultivating a focus and staying calm,
Hmm.
especially in pressure situations. Because if you can create this mindset for yourself, you're in a clutch situation, in rodeo. I'm involved in rodeo, my wife's from rodeo. You're in the short round, and all eyes are on you. You're a basketball player, you're stepping at the free throw to tie the game. What kind of self meditation have you worked on to create yourself a calm, relaxed, and focused state? So you don't try to force it. You don't try to muscle it. It's relaxed. You can revert back to muscle memory,
Hmm.
and just go through the fundamentals because you've prepared yourself. So creating a self meditation, you put yourself in the right state of mind is very important.
Well, and I think it's a little less with the self meditation part of it, but being focused and calm. How many times have we dealt with clients that if something goes wrong, they freak out, and and I've watched it. I've been next to a person and they freak out, and their brain just shuts down.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what to do. They don't know they don't know how anything works because their mind's in complete panic. Their emotions are running rampant. There is no logic. There's no processing. So
And
imagine how that's going to be as an athlete in the moment.
well, I'm glad you said that because controlling your emotion is really big, and
Hmm.
especially when you're in a situation when someone is not controlling their emotions, and maybe that's just not a strength of theirs. I've been in a situation like that where a pretty tough decision had to be made, and the other people involved were running high on emotions, and rightfully so, because of the situation. A decision had to be made. There was a hard one, and I was able to control my emotions, put myself in that meditative state, relax and calm, and make that logical, rational decision. And it helped in that situation that we had somebody we could lean on that was non-biased and kind of an outside person looking in. It was like, hey, logically, rationally, what is your opinion on this matter in this situation? And I think it's very important where self-reflection and humility comes into effect because you have to be able to reach that outside perspective or mentorship to make sure you make the right decision.
Yeah. Well, that's actually the next chapter, self-reflection. Um, I, it's a huge thing. I think we touched on it with failure. You mess up. Well, that's an experience. Okay, what went wrong? How do we prevent that next time? I've had countless times in business. I mean, heck, in gaming, I've had that where it's like, okay, we got to this result and we're getting to this result 50% of the time. We need to get our win rate up to 75%. Okay, let's analyze everything that happened and where did we have the control? Where could we control the factors that reduced the failure rate? And a lot of that improvement from a performance standpoint was reflection on experience, reflection on our actions, reflection on what happened outside of our actions, and how do we mitigate the things we can't control. But I think that's huge. Just self reflection is learning
Well,
from your mistakes or learning even from others' mistakes too.
and this is where in this chapter of the book, the workbook that we've created and some of our practices and our teachings that we focus on, and why self-reflection is very important. Because if you create a process of self-reflection and create those expectations and a routine that you go through, that's going to help overpower the emotions from that result. So if you're in competition or you walk out of a meeting, emotions are high, you didn't get the deal, you failed, whatever sport you're in or business you're in, there's going to be an outcome that isn't the best or isn't what you wanted. Well, if you've automatically got a process of self-reflection created, it's going to overpower those emotions.
Hmm.
And one of the things that we talk about in here is after action reviews, AARs, and analyze what went well, what didn't, and what to improve on. That's just a practice routine. Some people, we talk about journaling it, just
Yeah,
writing it down, because maybe this is a new practice for them. They write it down and it makes them think about it and they can reflect upon it. And it also changes their mindset because they're focusing on that reflection and not the emotions of the win or
right.
the loss.
Focusing on trying to create a solution.
And then obviously we talked about it a little bit a minute ago, but that mentorship, being able to seek that mentorship right away. Once again, you get yourself into a state of mind where you're trying to learn because you're self-reflecting. If you're learning and you're focused on learning and improving, you're going to be less emotional.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this is your favorite section. This is the mama mentality.
Yeah, I really like this one. With Kobe Bryant, very have a lot of respect for him and the way he approached business and even life and even parenting. The mama mentality is a big one. We apply some of these principles to our business, the way we operate. And, my favorite is, it starts with passion, leads into obsessiveness. Um, you have resilience, relentless, and fearless. Those are
Hmm.
the five pillars that the mama mentality has. And we have another episode that we're going to shoot and kind of get into the details of the mama mentality and how that applies to business and life. But we have it in this workbook a little bit because if you can apply those five principles to whatever you're doing, your job or your hobby, or
Yeah,
your sport, competition as an athlete, follow these principles and you're going to set yourself up with that foundation of success.
yeah, it's huge. I mean, it is everything. I mean, I feel like it's like the first principles of success is those
100%.
five pillars.
Yep.
So next section we have is actually coaching and parenting, which we both have kids. You have two, I have four, with another one on the way. Talking about the dual role of support and guidance. I always think about this. I had kids that played soccer, and I wasn't their coach, but they were always asking me for advice and tips. And it's like, okay, I can console you, or I can teach you. And it's like, which one do you want? And I remember I saw this video. I forget the video, but it was talking about a dad that was a baseball coach and he had played on his team. And on the way to the game, he wore a hat.
Mm-hmm.
When he wore the hat, he was the coach. On the way home, he typically didn't wear the hat, right? And
Yep.
then he asked his kid, he's like, "Do you want dad or coach?" And then he puts the hat on for coach,
Yep.
takes the hat off for dad. And I think that even in a marriage, like you've dealt with this, saying I'm your husband, but also want to help you in your role, help your spouse. And it's like, I don't know what to do right now. Do you want me to help, or is like a wife thing? Like, am I trying to give you a solution, or am I just listening?
Yeah.
But it's key to making a successful decision and impact on a significant other, whether it's your kid or your wife.
I really like this topic a lot. Obviously, like you said, with kids, I have kids, want them to play sports, in a leadership position with business and been there playing sports. And then, like you said, with my wife competing professionally in rodeo and, seeing that, she wants to win so bad and I want to help her win. I want to be coach and mentor because that's the way my brain works. But I also want to be that supportive husband, and finding that balance is is uh, is hard sometimes, but
Yeah.
it's rewarding, and we've kind of created some guidelines here of how to help with that, especially when it comes to the parenting side of things. You know, kids playing basketball, you don't want to burn them out. You want them to have that passion because you have that passion, and being able to set those boundaries and understand that you got to celebrate the efforts, not just the results. That's a big one.
Yeah.
I try to do that a lot with Cassie, with my wife on the racing side of things. Is we can't always just focus on the results. Let's focus on the effort and the try. And that's one
Yeah.
thing that makes me a proud husband with her, is that she always puts in 100% effort. And what does effort mean? I mean, what does it create? It creates respect, and
Right.
I think
Well,
that's a
I
big one.
too with kids, I think about that. Something that I kind of naturally recoiled against was this: everyone gets a participation trophy.
Yep.
Don't like that. But as learn more about the what's behind that, I think there's maybe a balance, because I want kids to push themselves to win. But if you only reward the win, then they actually have a lot of doubt when they don't win. And so it's like, look, I know you're trying your hardest, and this is a process, and we're going to get to that goal. Don't lose sight of wanting that goal, but I got to reward you, and I got to praise you for putting in 110%.
Well, it also depends on the state of mind.
Hmm.
It depends on how high and low they are on with that self-confidence and that self-reflection,
True.
and where that person is depends on how hard you can push or not. And I think it's a growth factor, and we're going to talk about that, creating a growth mindset and kind of being able to identify, where your child is or your loved one is in that mindset, and kind of help you and guide you on how hard you can push, and you know put the factor on winning everything, right? You got to find that balance. A lot of it depends on the headspace of the athlete.
Yeah. For instance, my 4-year-old doesn't have a lot of confidence. He's, has a lot of self doubt when he doesn't win. But my 8-year-old, my daughter, will actually tell him, "Don't say that." So Zeke, you can't say that. Don't say that. Say I can do it. So
Hmm.
she's learned a little bit. She's had a little bit of growth. So I can treat her differently than I can treat Zeke.
Yep. Well, thanks for joining us today. This is Zero Limit Mindset, the foundation of success. Our focus here is trying to create that mental edge to help you succeed in sports or business as a parent, leader, or athlete yourself. We've got a workbook that'll be coming out here shortly. Next week on our episode, we're going to talk about the Mamba mentality and those 5 pillars, and go into more detail on
It's
what
gonna be
those
great.
mean and why they're important to that foundation of success.
Awesome.